Hello and welcome to the Canadian Bro Show. My name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show, and thanks for coming back. Today we're filming a very special episode in celebration of one of Hollywood and really just a global superstar. And we'll get more into that when the episode starts. In the meantime, thank you for joining us. And I want to introduce my co-host with the most. None other than the legend, Mr. Johnny Leister.
Hello, sir. Mr. Paul Bale. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you, Johnny. Nice to see you. How are things in Vancouver? Johnny's filming from our private studio within one of the best public libraries in the world, and that is the downtown Vancouver Public Library. Johnny is one of the few people I know that actually has his own private studio in a public library. I don't know if anybody else does, but I'm really glad it does, and the studio looks great today. Johnny, how are things in Vancouver?
It's really warm. It's a beautiful March day. How are things in Kelowna?
It is an absolutely beautiful, I believe, spring. The first day of spring was officially on Friday.
Yeah, boy, time flies.
Oh my God, eh? I mean, we would have known that if we were celebrating spring holidays. Right. But our holidays are pretty much a yearly thing, a daily thing.
Yes.
But it's thanks for asking. It's beautiful. I'm looking at the 10-acre park across the street from my house, and it's sunny, and the kids are playing in the park, and there's people on the pickleball court and
now, what is pickleball?
Court.
What the hell is pickleball?
Well, we could do an episode on that later. It's kind of miniature version of, it's a hybrid between squash, racquetball, racquetoni, which is the beach pickleball version in Europe, tennis, and paddleball. And essentially, it's a smaller court. So there's 4 courts across the street at this park from my house. And it is packed from the morning till the evening. People love it. Yeah.
It's a racket sport.
It's a racket sport. Yeah, it is. Generally, seniors like it because it's not as quick paced as tennis, and you don't have to worry about snapping Achilles tendon or have less worry, perhaps, than some sort of serious injury.
Right.
Yeah, but it's fun. People love it. I went there with my wife and tried it once, and I'm glad I tried it once, and I have that experience. I still enjoy tennis better, or even badminton, or racquetball.
Tennis was the only sport as a kid that I could play reasonably competently and not look.
Yes, I remember. We actually did. We actually went to the tennis courts once or twice. I remember, and because I took lessons when I was in grade? I was 9 years old. I took lessons and 10, I think. And I learned racket sports. That's where I learned from Adam Katz and Robbie Katz and, the Katz family over at the YMCA in Burrard. But getting back to the episode, Johnny, we're celebrating, and we say celebrating. It really is a celebration of. It's a tribute and a celebration, and it's exactly what if you were, going and you had one of your best friends pass or a family member, and it's exactly the same thing. And we have an episode on the ticker below. We have an episode coming in the next few days. Coming soon, episode 68 is our favorite alien invasion movies, all things Canadian with Pauly and Johnny. What was that, Johnny?
The truth is out there.
Yes, it is. And we made an episode on that. We have currently running episode 67. Aaron Solly has done a very good job on, trying to help young men in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s, reawake, realign, and redesign. And he wrote a blueprint on it that's available on YouTube. And he goes out and he talks to all kinds of different demographics of men to help them, step into the light and learn this new growth period or stage of one's life and keep on doing that. And then also in reference to today's episode, we have our Bruce Lee Master of Life episode. That's a few back. If you're interested in martial arts, certainly Johnny and I. Johnny,
yes, sir.
This particular episode is really, Johnny brought it up, and I totally understand why, because we've been friends for over 53 years, and Johnny loves this man, and I think we all do, because we grew up with him. And Johnny, please, would you like to start explain to everybody and give him an introduction, and let's get into it.
Let's do this. Okay, well, a couple of days ago, we lost one of the brightest stars of the world, I believe, Mr. Chuck Norris. He was born Carlos Ray, nicknamed Chuck Norris, March 10, 1940, passed away March 19th of this year, an American martial artist, actor, and author. And this is quite lengthy, Paul, so interject
Please,
anytime you
just
want
go
to.
ahead. People need
He
to
held,
hear this.
sure. He held black belts in karate, taekwondo, tang soo do, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and judo. After serving in the United States Air Force, he won numerous martial arts championships and later found his own discipline, Chun Kuk Do. Norris began working in Hollywood as a martial arts instructor for celebrities before making a screen debut with a minor role in The Wrecking Crew, starring Dean Martin as Matt Helm. Who can forget those classic
Wow.
movies from the 60s?
Wow.
Friend and fellow
That's incredible.
Friend and fellow martial artist Bruce Lee invited him to play one of the main villains. Well, he wasn't really a villain in The Way of the Dragon, which we talked about on other podcasts. While Norris continued acting, friend and student Steve McQueen suggested that he take it seriously. It was actually, I read Chuck Norris's autobiography.
Yeah.
It's called The Secret of Inner Strength. It's a
Yes.
great self-help book. And it was actually Steve McQueen that gave him the idea to start acting. Apparently, he was never even
Johnny,
in Chuck.
that's another thing we have in common. I read it as well, and I really enjoyed it.
Great book. I would read it again. Norris took the starring role in the action film Breaker Breaker.
And
A
Steve
19
McQueen was one of my favorite '70s actors. Sorry.
Oh, same here. And if you remember in the mid 70s, there was a real craze of CB radios, citizens band radios,
Yeah, yeah.
movies about truckers and corrupt
Thanks
sheriffs,
to Burt Reynolds, kind of brought that in.
Smokey and the Bandit, and on and on. The
Right.
movie was hit, and of course, the second lead, and I remember losing my mind when I saw this movie, Good Guys Wear Black, 1978, and
Great,
after
great.
that, he just exploded and
Oh
became
yeah,
an overnight success. And of course,
yeah.
Good Guys Wear Black is one of the all-time greatest stunts, where a car is racing towards Chuck Norris, and Chuck leaps into the air, and this is like the most badass thing you'll ever see in a movie. He kicks the windshield of the car and
The
kicks the
sunroof.
dog, and it's all in one shot. It's
I know.
unbelievable. You can
Yeah.
watch it over and over again.
That's where Jacques-Claude Van Damme copied a lot of his stuff, man.
Right.
Seriously.
Norris went on to headline a series of commercially successful independent. Now, when Paul and I were kids back in the 70s and 80s, it seemed like every week there was a new Chuck Norris movie. He made like 3, 4 movies a year.
He was on
It
fire. He was
it
absolutely on fire.
was. His
He was a
sister
Hollywood darling, man. And he
was.
started off making C movies and then B, and then Hollywood said, "Look, they're A as far as we're concerned." But really,
Yeah, he just exploded. A Force of One, The Octagon, which predated UFC, An Eye for an Eye, which elevated him to international fame. He later starred in such studio productions as Silent Rage, Force Vengeance, one of my all-time favorite movies, Lone Wolf McQuade, with our friend David Carradine, who's Kane on Kung Fu. His
yeah,
success led Canon Films to sign a multi-picture deal, beginning with Missing in Action, and there were 2 sequels, followed by Invasion USA, The Delta Force. Well, I think The Delta Force is actually my favorite Chuck Norris movie. I actually on the day of, not to be too sad about this, but on the day of 9/11/2001, I actually went to the video store that night after work, and I rented a VHS copy of The Delta Force. And when I
wow,
watched that movie, I felt a lot better about the previous day's events.
yeah,
And then Firewalker with Lou Gossett Jr. He also starred in Code of Silence, which was directed by Andrew Levine, who's made some really great movies, including The Fugitive with Harrison Ford. In the 1990s, Norris played the title role in the long-running CBS TV series Walker, Texas Rangers. Check it out. It debuted in 1993 and was not canceled until 2001, which is really amazing. He continued to appear in action films until 2006. His final major film role was The Expendables 2. I'm a fan of that series, and that's my favorite one. And there's a classic scene where Chuck Norris appears out of the smoke. There's a huge battle raging, and it's Chuck Norris, and Sylvester Stallone gives him a bear hug, and he says, Chuck, or whatever, oh, Booker. His name was Booker. And
yeah,
also, Booker was the name of his character in Good Guys Wear Black. So maybe The Expendables
yes,
is kind of a sequel to Good Guys Wear Black.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Stallone asks him, like, how you been? And Chuck and Booker says, oh, I got bitten by a king cobra snake. 5 days later, the snake died.
I
And
love
that was
it.
Chuck Norris. Beyond acting, Norris became a best-selling author of books on martial arts. Paul and I, which read one, The Secret of Inner Strength, exercise philosophy, conservative politics, Christian Western fiction, self-help, and he wrote a regular column for World Net Daily. He was a real Renaissance man. He appeared in numerous commercials, including a longtime spokesperson with one of the most beautiful women who ever lived, Christy Brinkley, and continues to be, for the Total Gym. In 2005, Norris became the subject of Chuck Norris Facts, the internet meme which humorously exaggerated to galactic proportions his toughness and abilities. He endorsed various products that incorporated it, and the phenomenon inspired multiple books, 2 video games, several talk show appearances, and that is the life of Chuck Norris. He
Well,
lived more in one day than most people do in their entire lifetimes. That
you
man.
know, that's it's a great opening, but really, that's just a synopsis, a very, very sample, smaller synopsis of his great, long, extensive career, and one that was not ridiculed. Off the the camera, he was a legend as much as he was on. He never changed. And that's
Really.
why people always gave him a hard time, because his acting was, let's just say, passable. He
Yeah,
just
but the
basically
character he played didn't really require
he
deep
well
act.
let me just give you a little thing here. You don't need to get defensive. I know you're in love with him, and that's okay. Um, yeah, you are. And really, at the end of the day, I think the intro was nice, but you can't possibly talk about this man in just a few minutes in an intro. Although that was a good intro,
Thank
I like to think about. I also grew up with Chuck Norris and martial arts. I was a huge fan growing up in '60s and '70s and the '80s, even the '90s. I was still in kids around that time of the early '90s, anyways. Before I went over and played professional basketball, and I used to watch all of his films when I was growing up. It got to the point where I guess I found my I hit puberty, and all of a sudden the young lady started looking a lot more interesting.
that tends to happen.
And in that time, I just found myself sort of waving goodbye and giving Chuck a kiss and saying thank you kindly for everything that you brought into my life, because I read his books, I saw his infomercials. His hair pieces kept on getting better, which I was really happy about. And he blew up, like,
Yeah.
pretty much blew up. I think the fight with Bruce Lee really started everything, but people don't understand, like, what are the top 10 Chuck Norris moments to be remembered for? Well, I don't know what they are, but I made my own. And the one, I'll go 10 first. The birth of Chuck Norris facts, an internet legend status. Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the earth down.
Of course he does.
I love this. This turned him into a pop culture superstar myth for an entire new generation that didn't stop until it was multiple generations. And he started from very humble beginnings. And he discovered the martial arts at a very young age and fell in love with the discipline of martial arts. He loved the studious aspect of martial arts. He loved the discipline of working out every day and training his body and the movement of the martial arts. He loved how the martial arts went into his spirit, his mind, his body, and it overtook him. And he fell in love with the daily routines of learning to get better and being a better human being and being a better martial artist. And boy, did it ever show. So very shortly, he started his martial arts champion era. And he was an undefeated middleweight karate champion from 1968 to 1974. And that's just the start. And he beat some of the best fighters in the world. And this is what gave him real credibility and not just Hollywood hype. And of course, that goes on, Johnny, until the next phase of that. And people, karate, he was more than just a karate martial artist. He created his own, as Johnny mentioned in the opening, so eloquently said, thank you. And the other thing he was really good at is kickboxing. And kickboxing, he went on to be a world kickboxing championship, not just karate, but kickboxing specifically. And won multiple world championships. And then Hollywood came calling. And thus the Johnny, in our pre-show, Johnny, you mentioned the original. I want to go back to training celebrities and influencing fitness culture, but just a quick interjection. The film that really started everything for him, although he was in earlier films, but nothing major, was The Return of the Dragon, which is what we knew the title to be in North America. But the original title was
Way of the Dragon.
I like that too, though, eh?
Yeah.
Hey? I mean, and that was released internationally, was it not?
Yeah. They released Way of the Dragon after Enter the Dragon became It's a
So
huge hit.
popular.
I
Yeah,
guess they wanted to
exactly.
trick people into thinking that it was a sequel when really
Yeah.
it was shot a couple of years before. But
Yeah,
that
yeah.
features the legendary fight scene with Chuck and Bruce Lee in the Coliseum with the cat
Yeah.
watching.
Oh, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
really, just a masterpiece in cinematography. And Bruce Lee actually, even though there was a director, Bruce Lee actually directed the entire scene,
yeah.
and it was incredible. In fact, I think I was never I love Chuck Norris, but I always thought his wooden acting was just too much sometimes. And in this film, he doesn't need to say very much. He only says, I think, one or two words in the entire scene.
Yeah.
It was his best
He wags.
acting. What it was
He
his
wags.
best act. It was his
Yeah.
exactly. It was his best acting, and he was handsome. He was in great shape, and Bruce and him worked out together. They were friends.
Yeah.
And so the next Hollywood became coming not just for movies and film and television and commercials and things that he could create on his brand, but he started training celebrities and influencing the fitness culture of Hollywood. And one of the first people that he trained with was none other than Mr. Steve McQueen, the
Yes, sir.
legend.
Bullet.
Well, yeah, exactly. One of his best films, and maybe his best film. Although I love Escape from, the
The Great
Escape from.
Escape.
Oh
Yeah. Hicks.
man,
The Cooler
yeah,
King.
yeah. And
Yeah.
he actually all those motorcycle scenes where he's jumping the
Yes.
barbed wire. He did those,
I know. He was a real motorcycle enthusiast.
and it was crazy. But it helped bring martial arts into the mainstream Western culture. And then it started to go into 1983. It goes into Lone Wolf McQuade, and peaked rugged Texas Ranger. I mean, honestly, could that be the best part for for Chuck Norris? A
Yeah,
Texas Ranger?
I'm sure that was written specifically for him.
Oh my God, yeah.
From the get-go.
And it was a reason, right? And
Yeah.
so and it basically became the prototype for Walker, the Texas Ranger, which went
Did you
on
ever watch?
for.
Can you interject for a second? Did you ever
Sure.
watch Late Night with Conan O'Brien?
I haven't had TV in 20 years, but I have seen him on YouTube.
I used to watch it back in the day, and he had a segment called the Walker Wheel, where he had this huge lever, like The Price is Right, you know, the big spinning wheel, and
Yeah.
he pulled the lever, and he'd show an out of context Chuck Norris clip from his show, and it'd be like something really outrageous,
I
like
love it.
just
I love it.
something real like wicked, like he's driving in a car with a woman and he hits her in the face, like just really outrageous stuff. And then he did a show, and then the audience would laugh, and then he did a show where like, and then Chuck Norris was for real was
Excuse
actually in
me.
the audience, and he looked pissed. It was
Oh,
very
fuck. I
very
think
funny.
I've seen that. I think I've seen a
Yeah.
clip of that.
Yeah, and I think Chuck Norris stood in the audience, and then Conan ran off the set.
Yeah, I
That was
mean, and that's the thing about Chuck Norris. In our pre-show, Johnny brought up a really important part. Is Chuck Norris was not only a lovable guy off the camera, and on the camera. I mean, even when he was badass, he was still kind of, he'd crack a joke, and he wouldn't take it too seriously. He was kind of like the epitome of that cool, kick-ass character that Johnny loves so much, and is very similar to his lead character of the Lee Hackland series. That Johnny is a prolific writer, and I can see someone like Chuck Norris being the lead in Lee Hackland.
maybe AI could de-age him a little bit.
Well, no,
Lee's a little more avuncular.
hey, it's your writing, your show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And then so basically that was the prototype, and then of course the Mission in Action series came in, and I really loved those because any kind of war movie, Vietnam action, Tom Clancy, espionage, James Bond, anything like that, I absolutely well done is one of my favorite genres.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it, and the Mission in Action series in the '80s was when really Chuck Norris went ballistic in the '80s and the '90s, but really '80s he just went
On the screen.
what
He was
what's that?
omnipresent on the screen. Like every year, there's at least one Chuck Norris movie playing. In
And the
theaters.
series, and then the TV series, and he was it was overload for like 20 years. But he globally took off, so it wasn't just overload in Western Hemisphere. He became a global superstar.
Yeah,
And,
100%.
and even my wife in Italy used to watch him, and she used to really enjoy it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
People who've never seen a Chuck Norris movie know who Chuck Norris is, and that says
Yeah.
a lot about his impact.
Very much so. Good point. And that cemented him as a patriotic action hero in a positive light. There's a lot of action heroes out there. Most of them are evil, and they're demonic, and they're vampires, or they're werewolves, or they're zombies, or they're desperate despot dictators like down south. And then, of course, you get into the 80s and it just keeps on coming. Everybody wanted a piece of him. Delta Force, 1986, loved it. Loved it as well. I mean, there was some good stuff there. Motorcycle and rocket launcher scene is iconic. When he's and he's got, I mean, that scene that you talked about in our pre-show of him jumping the car and kicking out the front window and the guy driving the vehicle all in one go, slow motion, and lands impeccably. Pure, over the top, legend moments by none other than Chuck Norris, and it continues with Waka, Texas Ranger, 1993 to 2001. Absolute massive local television success, and it is still syndicating throughout areas of Pakistan in Hindi, and he's just a legend. And of course, he became a household name worldwide, and his roundhouse kick became his signature amongst the glasses and that steely look and
beard.
And what's that?
The beard.
Of course, the beard came in.
More beard like Chuck Norris.
Well, I mean, it's like it seems like, and just correct me if I'm wrong. Everyone notices that a lot of people that are bald struggle with that dilemma of being bald. Johnny, you said in our pre-show that you were bald very young, like 24 or something.
I started losing my hair in my mid-20s. I noticed the crow's nest or whatever you call it, and I was sanguine about it. It's like, I'm not going to lose my mind over this.
Exactly.
A lot of guys wore toupees in the 70s. That was a real 70s thing. You could always spot a toupee a mile away.
In the 70s, it was obvious.
I was like, man, oh man, like I thought I was insecure. There are things within our control. There are things beyond our control. I mean, if you want to wear a toupee and if it makes you feel better, then wear a toupee. But to me, it looks absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, just in, Chuck Norris just came in and said, "Johnny, well said." Thank you, bro.
See you soon, Chuck. Hopefully not too soon. Hopefully not tomorrow.
Please, Johnny, we got at least a few more 100 episodes in us. Come on, bro.
Oh, we do. Okay, well, we talked.
And then whoa! I'm still got I'm gonna blow through these, right? Okay. No, it's okay. Interject away, bro. It's not like it'll stop you. And so after the roundhouse kick happened, it just sort of transcended everything because he could do an infomercial, and it'd be a picture of him doing a roundhouse kick, and people were like, "Oh my God, that's Chuck Norris." And he's just so badass, but so friendly and so good. He was like the epitome of the good superhero. Martial artsman, action Hollywood superstar that was good and kind. And arguably, he had at that time the most famous kick in pop culture. And of course, our show, All Things Canadian with Pauly and Johnny, is about pop culture, and martial arts is part of pop culture. And the fellow that we're celebrating today, he needs to be represented as someone very important in martial arts pop culture, not just in Canada, but globally. And that is none other than the late Chuck Norris. Some saying he's still alive. I believe that Chuck had to pass quickly, and he's in a better place, and hopefully he's with us in this episode because we love him.
86 is a pretty good run, and
really good run, and he became synonymous with his identity. And then, of course, as we mentioned earlier, the Way of the Dragon fight, or as Johnny and I mentioned, the Return of the Dragon with the cat scene, 1972, which Bruce Lee not only directed it, he produced the whole film, and unfortunately, shortly thereafter, left us rather suddenly.
Yeah.
And the Coliseum fight scene is probably, for me, I would say, if one of the greatest martial arts scenes ever filmed, if not the number one best martial arts scene in the history of martial. I mean, I can think of a few. Enter the Dragon was unbelievable. The scene with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in his last movie.
Dream of Death.
Right? I mean, that scene to see, and Jabbar is 7'2".
Yeah.
Right? And Bruce was what, 5'6"? $125?
Still looking up at him. I'm out of here. Where's the door?
and then, of course, and if you look at the outfit Jabbar was wearing Where do you think Quentin Tarantino got that idea from?
Oh, I didn't even make that connection. That's
Yeah,
right.
bro.
Yeah, very well.
Kill Bill.
Good callback.
Thank you.
That's
Hey,
right.
I'm this is all real. Like we love movies. We are cinema. What did he? I think
Cinema
Johnny called us cinema fins,
Yeah.
fiends.
Cinema fiends. That's a good one. Freaks.
It is
That's
fiends. Fiends is good
very.
because no one uses
very-
that word. And then getting back down to and before Johnny jumps back in because this is Johnny's superhero, but I loved him just as much and. I always do when it comes to films. I always do a top 10, top 8 because it helps me focus on breaking his extensive career into segments, brief segments, hopefully, right? Real life toughness and discipline. He was a disciplined kid right from he said he was disciplined from the time he earliest from memories. He was 4 years old. And he was running around and swimming and jumping and riding bikes, and he was just into it. He ended up being part of the Air Force. He's an Air Force veteran of the United States, and he built his career up, and he embodied the real deal martial artist turned into icon. And that is my memories of one of the greatest martial art icons in the history of film, television, and a legend in my mind. And I'm really happy, Johnny, you mentioned this show because it brought back a lot of memories.
Yeah. Well, Bruce Lee said the key to immortality is to first live a life worth remembering, and Chuck Norris's life will be remembered for future generations to come. 100%.
Amen. And namaste. And we actually have a Bruce Lee episode we did on the celebration of his life in our own way as well. And we're huge martial art fans. And Johnny, tell me the first time. Do you remember the first time you saw this dude? And you said,
it was. I remember walking down the street in downtown Vancouver, probably past the Coronet Theater, and I saw the poster for "Good Guys Wear Black" with the dark sunglasses and him jumping into the reflection of him jumping into the car in the sunglasses. And I went home that and I said, "Mom, you got to take me to this movie. We got to go right now. Never mind school tomorrow.
I love
this
it.
movie."
And did she?
No, I think I went with Brian Alk, and I think we probably went back in the theater and watched it again.
Oh yeah.
That was the first time, and then
Well, the Coronet was easy to do, right? Because they
it
played two movies. So the secret was not that we were like. It's just we're under allowances, and often I have to find ways if I didn't have my paper route, or I wasn't a bike delivering pharmacies to elderly people in Kits Beach.
No, I did that.
Those are my two jobs.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah,
with London Drugs on
well,
Broad and
there was a
Avenue.
dude right across from your school, a Chinese fellow that had a pharmacy. That's a taco joint right now, right across from Henry Hudson.
Wow.
And I got a job for, I think it was $3.50 an hour.
That was probably minimum wage back then.
I don't know. No, if it's anyway.
Right.
Really, I'm talking about 1970. I'm talking about 1972, bro.
That's what I made when I worked at McDonald's. When I was in high school, I worked part-time at McDonald's.
Yeah, but that was later. I'm talking about 72 when I first met you. I was a
Yeah,
kid.
that
I
was
was like
10,
8 years old. Anyways,
Right.
I got off topic there, but I just remembered that, and it was like just flashback. But so you saw him, or you went in and saw the movie, and that's where it started everything.
Oh, sure. And I went to see every Chuck Norris movie from that era and all the way through the 80s. Now, we mentioned Breaker, Lone Wolf and Quaid. Another one of his movies, Code of
Yes.
Silence, again directed by Andrew Levine. Norris played Sergeant Eddie Cusack, great name, leads a sting operation against a gang, but the plan goes awry, resulting in a shootout where several are killed or wounded. Cusack is ostracized for refusing to support a corrupt cop. Good for you, Chuck, who killed an innocent bystander. Meanwhile, the family of a mob boss is killed, except for his daughter, Diana, by a rival gang. Cusack, despite being isolated by his department, works to protect Diana and bring criminals to justice. I didn't know this. Paul, did you know this movie was originally written as a fourth Dirty Harry movie? This is a complete stunner to me. The screenplay by Michael Butler and Dennis Chirac passed through several multiple hands before finally being purchased by Orion Films in 1983.
I think I heard something along the way. It just never happened. They actually they hired a screenwriter and everything, and they actually had a screenplay ready or close.
Right, right. The director's name was Andrew Davis. Apologies for getting it wrong earlier. Was filmed extensively in Chicago, which I think is his hometown, showcasing several iconic landmarks. Molly Hagan, cast straight out of drama school, found the experience formative. While Dennis Farina, a great character actor, was originally a Chicago police officer. I did
Yeah.
not know that.
Yeah.
Credited the
Well, I
film.
mean, he didn't have to, he didn't have to stretch on the
He
acting
didn't.
because he was
He didn't-
great. He was a great
Right.
actor and probably a great cop.
I didn't know that he was an actual police officer. The credit of the film is a significant break that helped launch his transition into full-time acting. The film was released by Orion Pictures in 1985, received positive reviews. I remember Siskel and Ebert both gave this movie thumbs up. Critics praised its slick direction, strong performances, and engaging action. Many consider it his best film to date, and I would suggest that of all his movies, it's probably the best written. And it has a crazy robot at the end, the sort of R2D2 with guns that helps him blow up the bad guys at the end. Do you remember that?
No,
Yeah, he had
that's
this little.
unusual. I normally I'd remember something like that.
It was like that robot from Rocky Four. Okay, later that year was Invasion USA. This is a movie where Chuck Norris pretty much single-handedly saves America. It's like the terrorist attack. This whole movie is scene after scene of terrorists attacking like a shopping mall or some
Oh my
innocent
God.
family's home. And then
Yeah.
Chuck Norris shows up out of the blue like
Yeah.
Zorro with his two guns, his two Uzis or whatever they
Yeah,
are.
this is when I started to fall off when he started doing movies like this because
Okay.
it just became like it was like doing a comic book
It was a little over
character,
the top. Yeah, it was a little cartoonish.
a
Like
little
literally,
over the top.
yeah,
I
like
mean,
literally, this movie, he mows down like hundreds of terrorists, and they have guns and tanks and grenades and rocket launchers.
if you're a kid that is
Like,
and you're an adrenaline freak and you're in the theater, you got a huge thing of popcorn and you're jonesing on Slurpees before you even got to the movie theater. I could see it happening. I could see you at the Hollywood Theater at a Chuck Norris triplex, triple, right? And getting you remember the turbo jumbo oversized popcorn things they had at the Hollywood? That's one thing they had better than anyone else. Is
I would
you
get
had real butter.
and to get
What's
a bag
that?
of M&Ms. I'd get popcorn and a bag of M&Ms, and I would mix the M&Ms in the popcorn and pick it up and go to town. It's wonderful.
I love it.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was amazing. It's
yeah.
absolutely amazing. Okay, here we go. 1986. We talked about this already. The Delta Force, which co-starred the legendary, one of the greatest tough guy actors of all time, Lee Marvin, in his final film appearance. I remember Lee Marvin was a guest on Late Night with David Letterman, and he was promoting the Delta Force. And Letterman, he was kind of a classic wise ass. He says to Lee Marvin, he says, "Oh, so hey, how's your new movie, The Strike Force?" And Lee Marvin just got so. It's called the Delta Force, Dave. That was very funny. Anyway, sorry, just not. Chuck
No,
Norris and
it's
Lee Marvin.
the only reason why Lee Marvin talked like that is because he was probably he was like rage hungover and impatient.
Quite the drinker, apparently. Quite the
Yeah.
imbiber.
Yeah. He loved to
Yeah.
drink. And
Uh,
if you've ever seen him interviewed live, and he's in that rage thing where he has to get up early to do an interview he does not want to do, you'll see what happens.
yeah, him and Oliver Reed were apparently. And
They
Richard
they
Burton.
weren't the only ones. There was thousands and thousands of them.
Okay, Chuck and Lee play leaders of an elite group of special operations forces personnel based on the real life U.S. Army Delta Force unit. Directed, co written, and produced by Menachem Golan, this film features Martin Balsam, Joy Bishop, legendary 70s actors, Robert Vaughn, Steve James. Do you remember Steve James? He was an African American martial
Yes.
artist actor who
Yes.
was very often a supporting character. He
No, I liked him. I liked him.
Oh, he was great. I was a
Yeah.
huge fan of his, and he passed away from pancreatic cancer at a
Oh
tragically
my
young age.
God, man.
That was a guy who definitely, like Brandon Lee, like he was on the road to
Yeah.
superstardom. That guy,
Well,
because
he
he
had a
showed
he had a he the camera liked him. He had a great body and really good martial artist. Like the way he
very
moved,
very
powerful,
likable,
powerful.
charming guy. And unfortunately, he died. He was taken far too young. This
Wow.
movie also starred Shelley Winters and George Kennedy, who showed up in
My God,
every
man, old schoolers, eh?
every
Holy
disaster
smokes!
movie that ever made.
Of
It was
course,
in their
Poseidon
contract.
Adventure, all the
Yeah.
late Paul Newman disaster movies.
Right. And that the lead terrorist was played by one of the great actors of all time, Robert Forster. Do you remember him from Jackie
I
Brown?
do.
He was Max
Yeah,
Cherry.
old
Like
school
just
tough ass.
sublime actor. His villain is like really
Oh,
just
he played a lot of villains, but he also played a lot of
gritty.
war movies, and he was a gritty dude, right?
Right. The movie was a huge success. I loved it in the theater, and as I said earlier, on the pre-interview, I actually watched it on the day 9/11. It made me feel a little better. It was kind of therapeutic. Two sequels were produced: Delta Force 2: The Colombian Connection, and the
Yeah.
direct-to-video Delta Force 3: The Killing Game, which I don't think Chuck Norris is in. Delta Force was inspired by the real-life hijacking of TWA Flight 847. Now, the
Hmm.
Delta Force was followed up by Firewalker, which is a really fun. It's not the greatest movie ever made, but it's
No.
entertaining. These movies are entertaining. They're not meant to win Oscars. They're not meant.
No,
They're
but
not.
it made him a lot of money.
Yeah, a 1986 action adventure comedy which co-starred the great actor Louis Gossett Jr. and was directed by J. Lee Thompson. I remember this movie vaguely. Another Golden Globus classic. It has sort of an Indiana Jones kind of vibe. And then his last movie, which I have on my list, is The Expendables 2, which we talked about earlier. Let's see, what do we have here? Where he plays Booker, which may or may not be the same character that he played in A Good Guys Were Black.
That's
Expendables
that's
2,
what that's what Stallone does because he wrote these, right? So he'll take the most famous character or one of them that people remember him, and that's going to be his name in the movie. It's kind
right,
of
right.
tongue in cheek.
Booker. Yeah, I think so. Meant to
It
be.
is. It is. Look at
2000
all the other guys in the movie too.
Oh yeah, directed by Simon West, who directed one of my favorite action movies of the 1990s, Con Air. Let's see.
Yeah.
Brian
Was
Tyler returned.
is that the one with Mel Gibson or the one with Nicolas
No,
Cage?
Con Air was with Nick Cage and John Malkovich.
Right. That was good
Right.
too.
The film co-stars an ensemble cast including Jason Statham, Jet Li, Dolph Lundgren. Boy, how much testosterone can you put into one movie? uh, Chuck Norris as Booker, Randy Couture, Terry Crews, Liam Hemsworth, sorry, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bruce Willis, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. In the film, The Expendables, this is my favorite movie in the series, by the way, undertake a mission which evolves into a quest for revenge
What
against
number is this one too?
number two. This is the second one. I think it's the best of the four movies. I didn't see the fourth movie,
I
which I
think
heard was
they've
not
done
the,
5.
there may have been five. I heard they're doing an all-female version called The Expendables,
Oh
Bell.
my God! And I mean, Stallone, he's still pissed off. He lost the rights to Rocky, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, they're doing a prequel to Rambo, where we're going to see
Not surprising.
we're going to
No,
see
they've already done
Rambo.
it. That's the 5th or the
Yeah,
6th or whatever.
Vietnam. Let's see now. Jean-Claude Van Damme plays the most on-the-nose name that a bad guy could ever have, Jean Villain. That pretty much tells you all you need to know about this character, who murders one of his own men and threatens the world with a deadly secret weapon. Great movie. And that's my list of Chuck Norris movies that I have on my phone
Yeah.
here.
Well, that's
Uh, Lo-
awesome. Thank you for that.
sure, Lone
Um,
Wolf we talked about earlier, another
yeah,
classic.
yeah. But
What
also,
else?
I mean, recently he was quieter because he was getting older and he was enjoying life, and I do know that he was still involved in philanthropic ventures. He was always giving money and always being a part of
Very generous.
um, very generous soul. And I'm hoping that that's his true legacy. And the episode today was to essentially share his legacy, which brought so much joy into the households throughout this entire world. And we miss him. And rest in peace. Is if he is in fact dead or
No,
passed. No, I mean, I'm hearing conflicting things out there, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, what do you believe these days? Look, it's been credible resources has said that his family, his wife, and doctors, and where he passed in Hawaii, which he had a part-time residence, I believe. And it was just not, it wasn't suspicious apparently, but we're waiting to hear about the autopsy and we'll find out what's up. But in the meantime, at 86, the man had an incredible run, Johnny.
he
And he
did.
changed the lives of millions and millions and millions of fans.
He was
And he
no
brought
slacker.
light to dark places. What's that, sorry?
He was no slacker. I mean, he
No.
believed in himself. He put himself out there,
Yeah.
and he just was who he was,
Yeah.
and made no apologies.
And was really good at it. And
Mm.
it didn't really matter if he was pretty much the same character all the time because it was a character that, billions of people fell in love with. And think about him, and he's missed, but he'll never be forgotten for what he's done and what he brought to the world of cinema. And Johnny, is there anything else you want to say on behalf of your one of your favorite legends?
Just that I was really sad to read about his passing this week, but I'm hopefully he died peacefully and that he wasn't in any pain. Just having a memory of an episode. Remember Donahue back in the day, Phil Donahue?
Yeah,
He
of
was
course.
a daytime talk show. Is the caller there? I remember one time Chuck Norris was a guest on the show, and the co-guest was a child psychologist. And the child psychologist was like completely, we've got to ban violence in movies, and all these movies are turning children into bullies and monsters. And apparently Chuck didn't know when Chuck was booked for the show. His agent told him it's just going to be promoting your latest movie. So he was ambushed with this child psychologist. I
No
remember
way.
watching this episode as a kid, and it was very exciting because the audience was very polarized. You almost thought
Right.
like a fight was going to break out because you could see Chuck sitting in this chair next to this really left wing, very kind of a Weasley guy with his white coat on and a total pompous ass. And if I'm not sure if I'm telling the story correctly, but I remember reading, sorry, just bad again, that Chuck actually kind of slammed Phil against a wall after the show and was like, you don't want to do that to me again. That may be anecdotal, but I did
Yeah,
watch that
well, that's
episode.
okay.
And
It's
and
okay.
to give Chuck credit, he remained poised. He stood up for himself and
Yeah.
he didn't lose his temper. But this guy was really, I mean, it was like imagine you have a hornet's nest next to you and you're poking with a stick.
Oh
That's what this
God.
guy was doing, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I miss Chuck, but I'm glad that he was around. He made the world a better place. And, he showed the world that things can be done, that achievements can be accomplished, and that it's worth doing. And he was a role model.
He certainly was. And before we finish up the show and say goodbye, we are going to do a segment where Johnny, if you could slow down before you read
Okay.
your stuff and slow down, and just let people know what you're talking about and what it's about, so they have clear. Because I notice occasionally you kind of bang through the beginning intro, and I think really people need to understand first and foremost what the character
Okay.
is and who they come from and where they come from, and then it would allow people to engage and focus and listen and enjoy the writing because it is excellent. So
Thank you.
please, what do you got for us today? I explained to everybody what we're going to be. We're I can hardly wait.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, well, I'm a self-published author, and I have a character called Lee Hacklin. He's a private investigator. I have a series of novels and short stories. They're mostly short stories. Lee is a private eye. He's in his mid-20s, thereabouts. He lives in New York City during the 1970s. He's a smoker, a drinker, a ladies' man, but he's very ruthless, but he's very also charming, I like to think, and likable and funny, and he has a heart of gold, and he likes to help people. And my current Lee Hacklin mystery is called Burn, Babysitter, Burn. Here we go, chapter 1. Okay, I'll take my time. New York City, 1978. Nothing good ever happens after midnight. But like everything else in life, there are plenty of happy expectations. You're always teaching him the wrong thing. I looked at his Crest toothpaste tube this morning. It was squeezed in the middle. This is after I invested a significant amount of time teaching him how to squeeze a toothpaste tube, how toothpaste tubes should be squeezed at the end and rolled up. I saw him eating an orange the other day. Did he peel it like a normal person? No, he cut it into quarters and shoved the meat of the fruit into his fat mouth and sucked on it like a savage. It's unheard of. Who taught him that? You did. I'm sorry, honey. Shut up! Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. That was the last song I heard when I left the Night House, my local watering hole in Queens. Was I soused? You might say that, dear reader. And another thing, that blow dryer is going down the garbage chute. I like quiet mornings. Something else, my skin cream. This is based on a true story. One of you is using it, my special skin cream. I take little dabs at a time. There's a giant scoop of it missing from my jar this morning. One of you did it. Maybe it was both of you, conspiring against me. I was in the elevator of my Queens apartment building and sobering up at warp speed. The lift, as they say on Doctor in the House, was stuck between floors. The paranoid pontificator, Werner Schmidt, was my next door neighbor. He bore an uncanny resemblance to Sean Connery. You're looking lovely today, Moneypenny. His eyes were cold blue. He, he
Very
was in
nice.
his mid 30s. He was in his mid 30s, as was his poor wife Dora. Their poor son Dan was 10 and chubby. His T-shirt was adorned with a Starfleet insignia. His face was wet and he was trembling. Fewer things set me off more than an abused child. Dora said, "Go easy, honey. Dan has a cold. He's a weakling, and so are you." He shook his fist at them. "It's clobbering time." I asked Dora, "Would you like to leave this poor excuse of a man and start a new life?" "Yes." "Is there somewhere you can go right now?" "My sister lives in Syracuse." "I'm too drunk to drive, but I can spring for a cab." "Thank you, Lee." I looked at Dan. He gave his father a sidelong glance and nodded at me. Werner grabbed my jacket and he shook me. When the elevator doors finally opened, he was lying on the floor in the fetal position and he was bleeding out of both his nostrils. I walked Dora and Dan to their suite. Pack what you need, I'll wait here. We can get the rest of your things tomorrow. I should have listened to my mother. Me too. I pointed at Dan's Starfleet logo. What's your favorite episode? Balance of Terror. Oh, that's a good one. When you meet someone who loves Star Trek as much as you do, you make a friend for life. And that is chapter 1 of Burn, Babysitter Burn, my latest Lee Hacklin mystery. Thank you so much.
Unbelievable. 3 big laughs in that one. Thank you kindly. I mean, seriously. Encore. Encore.
I want to give credit where credit is due. Stuck in the Middle with You was a song immortalized in Quentin Tarantino's first film, Reservoir Dogs. The song was produced by Steelers Wheel, and its clobbering time is a quote from The Fantastic Four by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Awesome.
Catchphrase.
And before we wrap up, everybody, we just want to see just above Johnny's incredibly Canadian outfit of a Canadian T-shirt and a Canadian baseball cap on backwards. Just above him is the subscribe button. Our new goal is 500 subscriptions, and we're getting there. But we could really use your help. So simply just pause the video at any time you're watching, hit the like button, press subscribe. You'll see the button that prompts it. Run your mouse over it. Hit it, share it, comment, like, and tell everyone. We appreciate it, and it really helps our little YouTube Canadian Bro Show podcast, which is growing, and we will continue to put out free content. And today was really just an excellent content, and that it was just from a fellow that we feel like all the ones we're going to do on the show that really need to have a deep dive into, and to be able to give them 45 minutes to an hour and showcase and celebrate their legacy to something that hits the heartstrings of both Johnny and I, and certainly billions of people in this world, because he was a legend, a superstar, a iconoclast, and a good human being, apparently. And Mr. Chuck Norris. And Johnny, thank you for the episode and your suggestion today. It was great. And in the meantime, I'm going to wrap things up and say that there's one thing that Johnny and I and Trent and I, when we do this show, we'd like to share before we leave. And Johnny, what would that be?
A pun.
A pun.
Pun. Here we go.
Let's go.
The head of Old MacDonald's farm is the C-I-E-I-O. You're welcome.
Okay, folks, everybody. Thank you, Johnny. We are wrapping things up. Episode 69, The Life and Times and Celebration of the legend, martial artist, and Hollywood action star, Mr. Chuck Norris.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck. And rest in peace, my brother. And the handsome chap in the red Canadian outfit to my left and your right is none other than the prolific writing machine. That is Mr. John Leister, the co-host of the Most of the Canadian Bro Show. Johnny, thanks once again. We will see you sooner than later, shortly. Thanks kindly. And my name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show at the Canadian Bro Show podcast. And we have multiple episodes up. The first iteration is all things Canadian with Pauly and Johnny. We have almost 70 episodes now. The second iteration is all basketball from the Hoop Junkies, Pauly and Rolly. And then, of course, the real estate iteration. I've done a few episodes previously before this show started to really grow. And more will be coming. But in the meantime, if I may say on behalf of Johnny and I, in this mad, crazy world, please be kind out there. Try to be kind to people, strangers, people you know. Be patient, smile, be generous, listen, help somebody out. Don't expect anything from it. Return a wallet, answer a phone, be kind. This could help change the world that we live in drastically if we all started to do this instantaneously.
It all counts.
It all counts. So we love you here at the Canadian Bro Show, and thanks for joining us. We're wrapping things up. Take care, Johnny. We'll talk to you soon. My name is Paul, and we'll talk to you soon.